Alrighty, hello every folks, and good morning. Welcome to a multiplayer team build thing out of nowhere. Now, this might seem kind of random, but let me explain. So, roughly 4 days ago, Triangle Strategy decided to come out on the Meta Quest of all things, essentially becoming a slightly more 3D game that was originally 2D, trying to be HD. Anyways, you get the idea. It came out on the computer you slap onto your face. Now, they did technically reach out and offer me a review copy if I happen to have a Meta Quest, which I most certainly don't. I'm pretty sure those things cost more than somebody would offer for my car. So, with that being said, nobody really had one to lend me, so we're going to go about this in probably a more channel appropriate manner and remaking that team in Tactics Ogre. Now, we could go ahead and remake them in Tactics Ogre Reborn, but I figured, you know what, we had a few more mechanics to play with if we were to go sidestep that a little bit and go into Tactics Ogre One Vision. For those that haven't been on the channel a long time, I used to love making multiplayer teams all the dang time, because back on the PSP version of Tactics Ogre, and this extends to the One Vision overhaul of that game, which is basically the fan remake right next to Tactics Ogre Reborn, what we had was essentially a multiplayer mode in which you could give people custom lines, you could make your own custom teams, and it was a multiplayer mode in the most single-player manner possible because you couldn't actually play against other people, you could just make your own teams to fight against each other. Which, honestly, would have been way cooler. Just, call it the AI Battle Arena, and it would have been way more accurate, and somebody actually would have pressed that button, but for some reason, they called it multiplayer. Anyway, so with that being said, here's the general gist. It's got a team limit of 12, so I grabbed the first 10 mandatory characters from the list. I started them off with characters or with classes that seem like they might be appropriate, but we'll go ahead and adjust that as needed as we kind of carry along here. And the general idea here is to translate every one of their skills directly into whatever they're using. The only guy that's not going to be switching classes here is Sarah Noah, who's going to be running Lord for the obvious reason of I want to be able to change their portrait, and the unused portrait for Denim that's kind of hidden within the art portraits for Tactics Ogre looks kind of like it would fit in on the box for Triangle Strategy, so we'll go and slap that sucker in there. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and go down the list of abilities and see how much of this stuff we can translate directly. So some of this stuff will be very kind of, okay, I guess close enough in a lot of cases. So like a lot of things, for example, that might be a direct ability might end up being translated as a spell, an item ability, a passive ability on another piece of equipment. If it thematically fits close enough and it can all sort of gel together as one thing, I'm going to count it good, okay? We're not going to get hyper pedantic about this stuff. So, for example, on Delayed Strike, so it's just a basic attack that causes a enemy to delay its turn. As far as delay abilities go, most of that stuff is on gremlins and such in this version, and there's also some delay attacks available on axes, but he's supposed to be a sword guy. So instead, we have the heavy side grade of the sword category that happens to have a slow on hit effect, so I figure that'll actually translate that one well enough. Next is going to be a raised accuracy and potency of follow-up attacks. So to that end, we're actually going to go ahead and translate that with an accuracy helmet over here, as well as his counterattack ability over on the list. I was at some point going to run him as Dragoon for the Dragonfly ability for the Hawk Dive, but we'll get into that one in just a moment. So we'll go ahead and kind of take that up. We'll leave that on there for the moment. Okay, so following up on that, we have the Hawk Dive. So it's a height-based move, so it deals physical damage to an enemy. Damage dealt will increase proportionally if you attack from a higher height. Now, with this being said, I feel like in this particular case, given that it is essentially a one range move here, honestly, I think the Sonic Strike off of the sword finishers is going to do the job well enough. So we don't have him trained up in his weapons just yet, so we're going to go ahead and put Sonic Blade over there in his abilities, seeing as it's more or less going to serve the same function here. But this is just the basic version. He does upgrade this version later, and to that end, we actually have an alternate version of that move later, so we'll get to that. Like I said, we're just going down the list and translating everything one-to-one as much as we can. Next, counter stance, pretty standard, counterattack, no big deal there. Okay, next next is the Sweeping Slash. So deals physical damage to all enemies within range and costs a good bit of their TP bar. Now, this once again actually translates to the sword abilities here, considering that the Grand Cross ability is essentially going to be a sword sweep, so that will also work for this as well. It's not as perfect as something like putting in a Berserk might be, though, so I think to that end, let's go ahead and see if he actually has access to Berserk here on his list. Seeing as the One Vision version of Lord is kind of unusual, but let's see here. So if we go over to any Berserker, so let's go ahead and change this guy over here over to a Berserker. Let's go ahead and see if that translates. And I speed it up a little bit here. Alright, so we go over to Berserk. Yeah, so Lord can get Berserk, so we'll go ahead and cross-class that over to him. So I'm just going to switch him to Berserker here real quick, have that transferred over. Get our Berserk from down here. Probably pick up the other... Here, anything else that might translate at the same time. Not that any of this other stuff is completely necessary, but for now, you know, it doesn't hurt to pick this stuff up while we're over here. You know, we do want to kind of try and pick stuff up as we carry along. Alright, so good enough. We'll go ahead and switch him back to Lord at this point, and probably slap his... Okay, actually, I forgot. There is an added benefit to one of the cheats that's kind of beneficial, that has a little bit of a glitch to it, but actually helps out quite a bit in this instance. So this is going to be very random. It wasn't really worth its own video, but for those that ever use the Recruits Keep All Skills and Equipment cheat, basically the idea is that if you use any recruit skill, usually they'll kind of strip themselves down of most of their gear and equipment when they join your team. In this case, it keeps all of them, but the weird little side thing of it is that your own people will actually keep their equipment equipped, even if they switch to a class that can't use it, which kind of ends up being very useful for a team building thing like this. I forgot I left it on for this purpose, so that actually works out pretty darn well. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and assign Berserk here as the equivalent of that sweep move, and we'll go ahead and move on here. Alright, so next is Strength in Numbers, so increases your strength when allies are nearby. So for this one, honestly, it just could be any buff, but let's go ahead and see if there's any kind of magical type of stuff here that might help with something along those lines. Realistically speaking, characters in this game already kind of buff each other all the dang time, so that's kind of a sort of whatever type of situation. But, let's see. Okay, next is going to be Shielding Stance. So take 50% of damage for selected ally for 2 turns. So this is going to be a covering type of move. Now, there will be... I remember there being an improved version of this, but we can go ahead and switch over to the Knight real quick. And I believe their Guardian Force translates over, so that should do the job well enough. It does technically do a little bit more covering than normal. Okay, so that one isn't going to be available for cross-classing. So let's see what else we can probably do, because I'm thinking another alternative to this, rather than directly covering for somebody, we could actually just go ahead and go Draconic with this. Just give him Nullify Strike. It's spiritually kind of missing out on that whole covering for somebody thing, but it kind of works, you know? I mean, technically speaking, we got Martyrdom here that revives incapacitated allies, but makes you self-destruct, which would be a bit more spiritually accurate to it, but also a bit more extreme. Okay, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go with Protection here. Just kind of throw that in under Draconics, and then we'll go ahead and slap that sucker in there. Put that down over here. Actually, I don't know why I'm going so dang far with that one. And we'll put that under Draconics. Okay. So that looks decent enough. I could have sworn... I remember his Hawk Strike having extended range, though. Or the Hawk Dive having extended range. And, again, Sonic Blade in this instance is going to have that 2-tile range, so it still would do that job well enough. So, as far as I'm concerned, this kind of works. So we've got a little bit of the visuals, we've got a little bit of the mechanics. So while we do have the Slowing Strike on the Durandal, this also happens to look a lot like his final weapon, so it works out well enough. We offset the accuracy loss from that thing with a helmet over here. We have a Mirage Cloak, since he is he does have the feeling of a relatively quick unit, plus his look is primarily a cloak and light armor, which is more or less what the Mirage Cloak is. And then, similarly, we can go ahead and go Angel Ring to give him a flight ability. It's a little more on the nose than it should be. Like, we could probably swap this out for something else, but I feel for the purpose of, like, doing the whole sonic blade thing, I feel like having him fly up in the air and then land down, I feel like flight is kind of appropriate for that, even if he's normally landlocked. So I think that's a little bit more fun. So we'll just go ahead and call that good enough. Now, as far as filling this out with any other things here, let's go ahead and see. So this initial stuff is sort of basic here. We'll give him Tactician since, you know, he's probably building stuff up reasonably well. Let's see. On top of that, he's going to have items. Every one of his team members is going to have items, and additionally, I remember him not really having much in the way of save type abilities, so we'll put Overpower on him, just to kind of give him the ability to ignore those to some degree. We'll give him Jump, because he's, you know, all about those jumps there. Let's see. He definitely doesn't get Steadfast, because dude gets knocked around all the time. They never really deal with undead. Would they have any way to stop undead? Probably not. Heron for sure, because he does walk through the water a decent bit, so it doesn't need to be held back by that. Alright, so let's see. As far as racial abilities go, they do fight a lot of beast units, so presumably if they were fighting a lot of birds, they would gain some understanding of teratology along the way. We're probably going to put an Augment Wind on there, which is going to help out with his Sonic Strike. On top of that, due to the fact that he's got an Augment for this, this means that once the AI does have those abilities trained up, they will basically always use that finisher. So this ends up working out reasonably well. Okay, so next we've got Hot Wife, aka Freddy. So in Freddy's case, I don't know why I put the Sniper Medal on her. I don't know. Wait, why does the witch have access to Sniper Medal? That's weird. Why would... Can they actually use this? Why, though? Why does the witch have access to the sniper set? That's interesting. Do they even have any ranged weapons? No, okay, I never even knew that. Okay, well, you can have Sniper Handgun Witch if you want to make a Bayonetta build at some point. Oh, that is hilarious, dude. I had no idea that that was a thing. Okay. Anyway, back on track, though. So okay. Let's go, if this wiki wants to load at some point. Yes, go back. Go back again. I love how their wiki page is like 99% random dialogue quotes and pictures of random stuff that's plot relevant for about 3 seconds. But God forbid you talk about the class mechanics. Anyway, okay, so keep going down. Gotta go to a separate sub thing to go to their classes and weapons. Fantastic. Alright. So, we got our Pyromancer situation here. So as far as her basic weapon goes, that's going to be a book. Her other hand is probably going to be free, but we'll get into that. So do we have any fire-themed books here? Not really. And we can probably go two-handed with one of these here. Does she have any double attacks, though? Like, she doesn't normally attack with her book. Also, that's weird. Why does this one have... I'm not sure why the Cursed book has 5 range, apparently. That's interesting. Okay, well, let's see. Teleportation, meditation. They're pretty much all going to be meditation. We'll go ahead and start her off with a red book, because, you know, it's red. As far as her equipment goes, I figure we probably go fairly lightweight with this. Do they have any mind control abilities? No. Do they have any protection abilities? No. They're basically a complete glass cannon. So we're going to say fire robes. Let's see, as far as her helmet goes, we'll probably start her off with a Raven Corona, because she's got the little crown, and then, let's see, probably just a ring of, just a Seal of Intellect here, just to kind of go full glass cannon with it, and then we'll circle back to changing any of this as needed. As far as shields and stuff go, we'll go for a Flame and Void. That actually seems very appropriate. So there we go. She's got the sort of Crown and Scepter type situation, except it's a pocket rock thing. She's got a book here that's especially good against dragons. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and go for the obvious here of learning all of her different fire abilities in a moment. But skills-wise, let's start off with the obvious. She's got to have her fire magic, and additionally, we're going to want to learn a few things, because we'll probably have to switch between classes a little bit. Yeah, Field Alchemy, because I didn't put that on Serenoa back there, because they've got to have at least decent item access for the most part, seeing as they do have a fairly unlimited item pool. Actually, come to think of it, I think we'll replace the multi-wizard guy with the pharmacist, because I really want to have some item throwing in there. Okay. Actually, we'll go ahead and replace Jump, I think. We'll replace that with, do I seriously not have the thing on here? Oh, sure, I had the thing on here. Hold on, give me just a moment. Do they not have Field Alchemy? Maybe we'll circle back to that. Yeah, I guess they don't have Field Alchemy. Okay, whatever. So, going down the ability. So, Blessing of Fire increases your fire resistance while decreasing your ice resistance. We already got that covered through Augment Fire, so we'll go ahead and slap that sucker on there. Technically speaking, this makes you resistant to both, so it's just kind of a direct improvement. You don't really have weaknesses in this version, but whatever, close enough. Alright, Scorch deals fire-type damage to all enemies within range and sets the ground ablaze. And this is actually why we went for Witch rather than a Sorceress or a basic caster of any variety, because these guys are locked into AoEs, so we'll go ahead and give her all 3 tiers of Firestorm here to kind of reflect that ability there. Okay, Flame Shield raises an ally's fire resistance for 2 turns, grants them the ability to counterattack. Now, we don't have that exact counterattacking ability, because everyone can already more or less counter on their own, but what we do have is Soul Spark, which is going to give them a guaranteed crit whenever they go and attack something. So we've got that, and then we've also got, let's see, which one was it that also gave you some other fire buff here? Because we've got Blaze, we've got Enrage. Maybe they don't give you, yeah, Resist Fire. So we'll give Enrage as well. So both of those can potentially work spiritually to give the same thing as Flame Shield. And then Blazing Chains deals fire damage to an enemy, slow their movement for 3 turns, and sets the ground on fire. Okay, so let's see. So as far as dealing fire damage, that one's easy. Slowing their movement. This feels like a Draconic kind of thing. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. So we don't really set the ground on fire. You kind of just burn away the ground in this one. Yeah, Flare Spiral wouldn't really do the same thing. Do we have any DOTs that she can learn here? Because we've got Brimstone, so that's going to shackle an enemy. Is it the same thing as slowing them down? Kind of. Melta for Weaken and Breach. So as far as slowing their movement, is it the same? Not really, but it might end up being a close enough kind of situation. But let's see if we have anything that'll maybe serve that job a little bit better. Let's see, Nullify, Ballistics, Warcraft. Not really, but we do... Okay, actually, no, we do have something here, because we have the Book Finisher. It's not fire, but it's rock. Okay. So, okay, we're going to put Book Finishers on her. So, the Spellbook Finishers, the very first one, I think it's like Obliterate or something. Let me go check here with anybody that happens to have Spellbooks. Let's see, you've got Spellbooks. Do you have the skill, though? Checking. No. Okay, so let's see who's got a spellbook on hand. Because, yeah, spellbooks, with this old save file, they used to not be particularly great, and then they just sort of became freaking amazing. Yeah, you've only got rank 1, though. What about, where's Denim? I'm pretty sure he's learned every weapon at some point. Let's see, replace this with spellbooks. Man, there's a lot of skills in this game. Anyway, let's go to the spellbooks. Have you learned it? No. So, did I just never use spellbooks on anybody before they became decent? Surely at some point, even as a meme, at some point I did, no? No? Not at all? Not a single... Alright, whatever. Well, so much for that. we'll at least put the skill on her, but basically what that does is that it petrifies and deals damage in a direct line. So we'll call that good enough for the time being. Alright, so next up, Fire Eater. Grants the ability for an enemy to absorb fire. Kind of feel like Enrage basically... Well, actually, no. Let's go ahead and put some Draconics on there. It's a little bit too lame. Let's put some Draconics on here, because if they're absorbing it completely, we'll go ahead and translate that as a... let's see. Where is it? Spellguard. I think we'll put Spellguard on there, and then for the purpose of... Do we want to give them Renewal? I feel like Spellguard basically does the job. Because as far as spell absorption, it's just not really a thing that that you do for somebody else in this game. Alright, Pillars of Fire deals fire-type damage to enemies across 5 horizontal squares, setting the ground ablaze. Alright, so that's a relatively big area. I kind of feel like Firestorm 3 more or less does that job. But let's go ahead and see what we got here. So, as far as the bigger ones, how big does the Supernova get? Because I'm pretty sure she can't use it. Yeah, no, she can't use it. Maybe we switch her into a Witcher? All right, let's switch her to Witcher. See if that ends up fitting a little bit better then. All right, I'll see how much stuff we're missing though, because there's a pretty solid chance that would be an issue. Although the outfit definitely works. So let's see. Still can use all of her equipment. Skills wise, we're still good there. Okay, so. She should be able to learn a few other things, like Supernova at this point. So yeah, she can learn Supernova. Although Supernova feels like it would be closer to a Sunfall here. So Supernova 2 we'll put down as her Sunfall ability. See, increases your magic when standing on a square that is set ablaze. We actually have a good translation of this. So let's go ahead and go over... Let's go over to the Inferno Ring, where we have Emblaze over here, which gives Lava Walk and Dash. So it doesn't increase your power, but it does make you walk farther. So we'll go ahead and give her the Inferno Ring. It does slightly lower her magical attack, but it does make her unable to sleep. It does improve her MP regeneration, improves her casting abilities, as well as her ability to hit with that book from earlier. So this actually kind of works. So as far as I'm concerned, that'll do the job well enough. And then we still need something for Pillars of Fire. Let's see. Surely there's something else here that'll work for that. Yeah, not Balefire. Let's see. We just do Blaze. I mean, I kind of feel like Blaze maybe would do the trick, although... Yeah, she can't use that one. So Blaze is basically an AoE self-explosion there. Maybe we just go Flare Spiral? Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think for the purpose of, we'll just call it good enough and I want to move on, we'll go ahead and put Flare Spiral on there. And okay, let's go ahead and see what else we can fill out on this list. So, we already have Field Alchemy on there, I think. Let's go ahead and probably put a little bit of a Silence Ward on there to prevent her from getting silenced, because that would be a little bit of a problem. We'll give her Clarity and Efficacy for the purpose of boosting up her MP situation here. Probably Absorb MP as well. It's not directly required, but we'll put Parry on there because it's interesting. It's just funny to see something get parried with a book. Do we have Absorb MP on her? Maybe not. I might not have learned it yet. Let's see. Actually, right, we might see some stuff over here. Let's see. Curse, Frighten, Slow. Got Crystal Pumpkins here. Maybe we just go Blazing Resonance, actually. Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's not exactly an offensive ability, but it's interesting. We'll just put Blazing Resonance on there. It burns and across, you know, it's good enough. Okay, let's go ahead and move on then. So next up is Vertihorse, aka Roland. Now, let's see. Obviously, we gotta give him a little bit of spear action here. We'll go ahead and give him a pike. I don't know why I'm looking at the wrong category here, but let's see what we got. We've got an Astral Core. Let's see, Brainwright here. Fortified to a single target, charges its DP. I feel like this is what I was thinking of earlier. Here, let me pull Roland's skill list up here, and we'll see where we go. Also, this is taking way longer than I actually thought, so might have to cut it a little short, but the plan is to eventually get this thing finished up. Okay, so let's go down to this, go down to his classes and weapons, and see what we're dealing with. Alright, so Knight's Bane increases damage inflicted by spears, so, I mean, alright. Not really much to translate there. Dude be good with spears, I guess. So double thrust deals physical damage to an enemy 2 times. Who's got a double attack? Do we go Death Knight with him, maybe? Because Death Knight gets double attack. Then again, so does Warrior. So we'll go Warrior initially. I'll go ahead and learn that double attack. So we'll get our double strike going, because Warriors do get access to spears in this mod. So I'll go ahead and slap that sucker on there. Next we've got Rush, moves 4 squares in a straight line, dealing physical damage to any enemies along the way. I mean, his pike basically already does that. It's just that he has to attack and then move instead of the other way around. Let's see. Actually, in that case, what we can do is we can actually go ahead and give him the Saskia here. So this is basically the spear you get for beating Palace of the Dead in this mod. So it's going to be a kind of charging move every time that it attacks. So that'll work. Actually, this might end up being a surprisingly good build here. So let's see. Opportune attack, move 5 squares, then deal damage to a single adjacent enemy. I mean, he can just kind of move, so alright. Actually, for that, I think we can translate that as Opportunist. So this will allow movement even when movement is blocked. So we'll go ahead and slap that in there. See, pushback, deal physical damage to an enemy, and push them back 3 squares. For that, we're just going to put in Bash, because the only way he's achieving that level of movement is if he goes and attacks multiple times. So if he combines this with a double attack, he can get multiple pushbacks, so perfect. A Flash of Steel deals physical damage to any enemies in a straight line of up to 5 squares. I mean, we're basically already covering that with that spear, so good. See, Spring in your step increases your movement by 1 with clear weather. Well, I'm not sure about that, but we can go ahead and give him a Scout Vest, which will also serve as a nice little reminder of how absolutely trash his defense is for some reason. So we'll go ahead and give him the Scout Vest. This will improve his movement by 1. Alright, and then finally, 4 Dragons deals physical damage to a single enemy, ignoring their defense. I mean, basically, the first basic spear finisher is basically the same thing. So that's probably good enough there. Let's see. Do we maybe just give him a Scout Vest or a Scout Helmet, maybe? Gives him trajectory, makes him way more accurate. Still sticks with the low defense, high luck situation. You know what, I think that'll work. Like, this is a weird build for him, but I think it'll kind of work. Let's see, though. I do want to give him the ability to fly, though. Actually, no, Cloud Ring, because he has to be on his horse. We're just going to make his horse invisible. So, we've decided that his horse is named Cloud, and it's going to be what he's hovering on. Sounds good? Good. Glad we had this talk. Let's see. True Strike and Dodge in an area, not really something that he does. Tactician 1 and 2 to help him give him the ability to actually afford that double strike. Let's see. He gets knocked back all the time. What do I want to give him a ward to? I feel like he's got all the charm of a, wet sock, so we'll go ahead and give him a charm ward over there. Let's see, does he counter? I don't think he counters, so we'll leave that. Let's see. Do we want a Deflector overpower with him? I feel like he dies to everything all the time, so maybe not so much. Augment Earth, maybe? No, Augment Fire, because we want him to have that Dragon's ability. So we want the AI to be interested in using that. So I'll pop that sucker in there, and yeah, that should help. Let's see, Overpower for the same reason as before, leaving him with 2 extra slots. Now, what else do we want to put in here? So, going down the list, Field Alchemy, I think we already possibly covered, I'm not sure. Trajectory would make him a little bit more accurate, but I don't think the AI is going to use it. Do we give him Mighty Strike? I think for that second charging ability, we'll just go ahead and give him Mighty Strike as a little bit of a stand-in for that. Maybe it'll work better than some of the other ones. I don't know for sure, but it might help. And then Field Alchemy, because all of them use items, and so on. Okay, next up we've got Benedict, aka Commander Breakfast. So how do we recreate the Lord of War Crimes here? As soon as their war crime of a website stops giving me 20 billion text quotes, and we can actually get on with this. Okay. Dang it, Fandom Wiki, why are you like this? So, let's see what we got for different skills here. So, the reason I went to Swordmaster is because it seems like this guy's directly just going to be Swordmaster. There may be other stuff, but off the top of my head, it seems like he absolutely has to be a Swordmaster. So, Raging Beast, Raisin, Allies, Attack, and Magic Attack. We have that through Warcraft. Bulwark, same thing. Now, Bird of Prey, Raisin, Allies, Movement, and Jump by 3 turns. I think, so we kind of sort of have some variations of this, but we'll get to that in a moment. And then we have another one that moves an ally's turn directly after your own, and that's kind of where we get into the weird rub here. Because in order to do that, we would need something like Paradigm Shift, or we would need Velocity Shift, aka Time of Need. Okay, so first things first, let's go see who's got access to if we even have Paradigm Shift in this anymore. Let's see, Fixate, Shackle, Stasis... Okay, so you know what? On second thought, this guy actually might be the most indecisive Spellblade you've ever seen. So, we've got the sword thing. Obviously, he's going to only be able to serve on any class that can use the Cane Sword, which is conveniently also going to be the Spellblade here. But what we've got here is a guy that's got Enrage for the offense buff, Bulwark for the defensive buff, Winter Siege for the movement buff, which gives you Battering Ram and Water Walks. This gives you a new movement type and allows you to ignore Rampart Auras. And then finally, instead of Now, we've got Haste, which is basically the same thing in OV. Given how much heavier some of the units are, you have a tendency to see way faster turns when you have Boon of Swiftness turned on, so that'll give that there. Okay, so close enough for that. Alright, next for initial TP plus, grants 1 TP at the start of the fight, so we'll go ahead and just kind of give him the typical Tactician and max TP up over here, so he can keep using this stuff. Additionally, he'll go and need some of these other skills over here. Alright. I know we'll definitely need some of these in a moment, so we'll go ahead and pick these up right now, as well as giving him Absorb MP, so that he can actually use some of these abilities every now and then. Anyways, for the time being, though, we get Tactician, we get TP up. Alright. Next up, twofold turn. So grant the ability to act twice on their next turn. Again, basically Haste is doing the same thing in this particular instance. Okay, Remain Calm grants immunity to Silence, Fury, and Temptation. So to that end, let's see, we're going to need something that's got a little bit of either Charm or Silence immunity. Let's see here. Charm or Silence immunity. Apparently he cannot use an Alluring Dress. Well, fine then. That gets rid of that idea. Who's got a Charm Ward? Really? None of these? Could have sworn at least one of these had a Charm Ward. Anyway, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. It is what it is. But we'll just give him a Charm immunity here, since his Silence thing is probably not going to be very likely to hit him anyway. So we've got that there. So that'll be that Dragon Shield ability. Where is... I could have sworn there was more, no? Let's see, grant 1 instance of invincibility to all allies within range. Actually, come to think of it, I think Earth has one of these as well. Where's Razorback? Can he... Yeah, he can learn Razorback as well. So it gives you Spike Skin. So basically just gives you insanely high defense and reflects damage back. So that'll work. That's close enough, I think. Okay, and then finally, in order to give this guy a little bit of equipment here, what do we got? Well, I would like to reference his whole up and down ladder meme thing multiple times. So, as much as I'd like to give him a double move, unfortunately the only double move is Wild Hunt, which is over on the ninja. So haste is just going to have to be close enough on that one. Anyways, I remember him being relatively bulky, so we'll give him a sort of medium mix of different pieces of equipment. And additionally, we'll go ahead and give him... I kind of want to do, if we have jump 1 on the scout leggings, yeah, there we go, to reference that whole ladder thing there. And let's see, probably Void Ring 2, in order to reference how often he's moving, so he's going to be the fastest of the bunch. So that sounds pretty okay there. Then we'll go ahead and fill out his list a little bit, which is already relatively full even before we've properly gotten started. So I feel like, again, to reference the whole double turn thing, we'll give him MP Infusion so that he can occasionally just act or heal or whatever else. Anyway, we'll just give him both infusion abilities. It just seems like his kind of thing. Let's see what else. Heron for sure, because again, they walk through water a decent bit. Maybe we'll actually replace HP Infusion with... Actually, no, I don't want to use... I was going to say maybe I need to give him Field Alchemy, but he'll be the one throwing items then, which, you know, we don't necessarily want to set up yet. Alright, so next up we've got Hewitt, whatever, Hewitt, the bird lady. Okay. So in her particular case, we've again got a million different quotes, but where are her skills? There we go. Alright, first, Hawksbane increases damage inflicted by arrows. Alright, simple enough. We'll go ahead and slap a bow thingy on there. Where is bows? Thank you. There we go, we got bows. Alright, blinding arrow deals physical damage to an enemy, has a chance to blind them. Now, we technically technically we do have the ability to inflict False Strike or False Light or something like that, but the two of them have a tendency to override each other, and just as debilitating, we've got the one that'll affect both. So the Icarus bow over here has a weakening effect on hit, so we'll go ahead and slap that sucker in there, and it's additionally a one-handed bow that an Angel Knight can use. That's why she was the initial choice. Alright, Fell Swoop does physical damage to a single enemy. Okay, so to that end, let's see, we're gonna have, let's see, some kind of single target attack here. Something that kind of looks like a bird. Possibly we might use 1HKs for this, actually, because there's some of their abilities that could potentially be useful here. Let's see, quickens a user, frightening everyone in the area. Honestly, it just seems fitting, but that's a two-handed weapon, so that's not going to work for this. Alright, what do we want to do for this? Do we... I'm going to go with a one-handed sword to begin with a Crisagrim specifically, just because it's a double-hitting kind of weapon. Now, I realize that that Fell Swoop is not a double attack, but in this case I want to explain that mechanically, in this game's context, the Crisagrim has 2 tiles worth of range, and its double hit is very hit or miss in terms of its actual damage potential. So I feel like in this case it kind of ends up functioning reasonably well in terms of that like, sometimes it's really powerful and sometimes it's unreliable kind of thing that Fell Sweep does. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the Crisagrim for that, at least for now, unless we have something else. Our next Shadow Stitching Arrow deals physical damage to the target, has a chance to immobilize them for 2 turns. Let's see. I mean, as far as finishers go, that's basically what Leaded Shot does, so yeah, that's already done. We got the Weighted Shot, and we technically got Morpheus for that as well, so I think actually Morpheus does the job better. So Morpheus is going to be Water Element, so we'll put Augment Water on her, so that the AI will prioritize using it, and that sounds good there. Let's see, Rise in Range increases the range of the first normal attack used after battle begins by 2. She can fly anyway, it's basically built in. Raise your accuracy and luck, then gain the use of 1 more command. However, you can only move once. Okay. Again, one of those weird things that's like, it's kind of oddly specific. It's weird how, in Triangle's case, there's so many abilities that fall firmly into that category of, like, it's really simple in practice, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, there's just like, here's this one thing with way extra rules on there. But we'll go ahead and put Trajectory on there, which basically does the same thing. This is just a accuracy boost for that particular turn. Okay, so next is Sight Set. So deal physical damage to your enemies within your weapon range for 1 turn. So basically a auto attack kind of thing. I don't... So that is one of those things that Tactics Ogre specifically never goes for. So let's see what we have that might be potentially similar. Let's see. So he restores HP, removes all TP from targets, does an equal amount of damage to HP. I mean, if... Okay, so I know personally whenever I was using that move, usually what I did with it was that I would activate it after flying her into a group. It kind of feels like this has the same vibes to it. It's not exactly the same by any means. It's very much a squint and you'll see it kind of thing, but like, I feel like it fits. You know what? We're gonna put Poignant Melody for this for serving that same role as just like the Chaos Bubble, you know. And then finally, Shooting Star. Soar up high on Flugy, then deal physical damage to a single enemy from above. Man, that's kind of what she does innately. Technically speaking, I guess what we could do is put Absolute Zero on there. Because it's got a little bit of extra range, I think. I think we'll just put Lead Bane on her. Or Lead Ward. She just can't stop flying. Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, it basically feels like it's the same thing anyway. It's just the same thing with additional damage. Because, yeah, thinking over it, there's... I guess Starfall could sort of serve the same role. What element is Starfall? I want to say it's non-elemental, but let me see here. Who has a bow and who's got the skill to use it? Surely one of y'all do. Okay, actually, wait a minute. I think I saw Aerosol. Yeah, there's Aerosol. So, let's see what Starfall does. Because, yeah, so, like, Morpheus is guaranteed sleep. That's why it was used for that other one. Yeah, so Starfall is going to be wind. But see, it's an accuracy modifier is the thing. So if she's flying up and dealing damage, the range is 2 to 8, so it's got to be reasonably long. Like, this would be the spiritually total opposite of that same thing. I'm trying to think what would actually help for this. Let's see if the class itself has anything in particular that might help for coming up with something similar. I mean, we'll go ahead and slap some equipment on her, too. Let's see. See, I almost want to give her some kind of stun ability here, because let me go ahead and see if she can learn any of the War Dance abilities. I don't think so. So, basically, Arts of War, you've got all of the different stunning arrows and things like that. I was thinking stun arrows actually make a decent bit of sense for her, because she has a tendency to just completely freeze the AI. Let's see her other class abilities here. So, this wouldn't help. Let's see, resets RT, TP, MP in an area. Not really going to be... Yeah, nukes undead, sure. Removes all MP from an area. Deals the same amount to HP. I mean, I guess technically that could do the same thing as that other ability, except just for a different bar. Okay, sure, good enough. Let's see. Light damage and steals and puts them in stone. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't feel like that would necessarily do the job. Okay, well, we've got Tactician on there. Yeah, I don't feel like Resonance would help them much. Field Alchemy, sure. I think we'll just consider it good enough, honestly, because it just feels like it's the same finisher but different, but having her set up 2 different finishers doesn't feel like it would necessarily help. We'll put on Sanctuary just to reference the fact that nobody can reach her. Same thing for if she's got Field Alchemy, which she... Or, sorry, Rampart Aura. Actually, she already had... Oh, no. She can have either Rampart Aura or the other one. We'll just put Rampart Aura on there. She only gets 1 rank, though, so it's not terribly useful, but oh well. Then finally Overpower, for the same reasons as before. Okay, yeah, we got time for like 1 more here, so we'll just go ahead and go directly to everyone's favorite overpowered ninja lady. Go over to Anna. Now, Unfortunately, she can't... Wait. Yeah, I guess that's a weird little quirk, huh? So she can't use Katetsu here, so that's kind of a bummer. That's actually was what I was originally planning to use on her. Alright, fair enough, fair enough. It's apparently a dude weapon unless it's for the heretic. But let's see. Act twice, so grant actions twice on a turn. I mean, she's already got her double attacks, so that'll do that job well enough. Alright, so let's see what kind of weapons we got here. I'm kind of thinking we probably just go double binding weapons, maybe, and then we'll figure it out from there. Let's see, plane focus, splits, what else do you have? Because, yeah, this would have been the perfect thing. Anyway, so throw poison. So, deals physical damage to a single enemy and have a chance to poison them for 3 turns. So, she's already got a built-in throwing dagger for that same thing, so the class already does that. We'll go ahead and give her 2 Tinkle Death daggers over here because it's got a funny name as a little bit of a placeholder. Actually, maybe put a Jambia in there in the other hand, just to kind of give her 2 different daggers or something. We'll replace those later. So take cover, become invisible for 2 turns, effect will be lost if you get attacked or stand in front of allies. So for that one, we're going to have Mind's Eye, which allows them to evade all attacks. So that's going to be functionally the same as invisibility, considering invisibility itself wouldn't really help here. Okay, Surmount, move to an adjacent square with a height difference within 15 units. So, technically speaking, we can go over here and give her, let's say, where is it? We can give her the Monkey Scroll here, which gives her Escalade, which allows her to just do that. The thing is, the AI does not understand how to use it. So instead, we're going to go ahead and give her the Wing Boots. Actually, maybe we give her the Warp Boots. Because the Warp Boots have a little bit more limitation with their movement than the other boots do. So these are going to be a bit more susceptible to ground-based interference. And then also we'll go ahead and give her a... do we go... No, because she will mind control somebody. Okay. We'll go ahead and give her a Mirage Cloak for the time being. Sorry, not sure what that was about. So remain and recover. Recover HP when not moving and using commands on your turn. Okay. I guess technically we could give her a regeneration ring for that purpose. So we can go ahead and give her a Kraken ring. Sure, why not? Let's see, Slumber Stab. So deal physical damage to an enemy and have a chance to put them to sleep for 2 turns. So while I was hoping to have the daggers serve that purpose, we've also got the Toronoko here, which is a sleep bomb that they can use with roughly similar range. Okay, next is Surprise Attack, deal increased damage when taking cover. So that would be more of a rogue thing. The thing is, this the Sleep Bomb ability is exclusive to them, and the rogue doesn't really have a Sleep Knockout ability, so... Let's see. Is there anything we can use for this? I mean, we'll add Wild Hunt to the list as well, so that they can actually double move. But we'll also need to add Tactician 1 and 2. And as far as the sneak ability goes, I think we're just going to call it good enough that she's probably going to be sneaking up behind people and getting crits. So to that end, let's see. Go ahead and give her some different weapons then, possibly. Let's see. We've technically got swords over here that could serve a similar function. I don't feel like they would make as much sense as the daggers, though, because the daggers cause somebody to be completely stuck, and in this case, that makes a lot more sense than most, seeing as when they are stuck in place, they obviously can't move anywhere, and if there's one thing that that's extremely accurate as far as the spy goes, it's that. It's the fact that they'll be locking people in place and completely breaking the game for you. So anyways, for the moment, we'll go ahead and go with those 2 daggers and continue moving on. Okay, so Deadly Blaze deals physical damage to a single enemy, lowering their physical defense and magical defense for 5 turns. Do we have any defense lowering? I mean, I guess technically she's got the ninja spells? I guess that works. Sure. Let's see, one of them poisons, though. One of them... Yeah, it's not really the same as lowering defense, but, yeah, you know what? Whatever. It's fine. We'll go ahead and give her an Eric scroll, but how expensive is that supposed to be? 4 TP? Yeah, you know what? Okay, we'll go ahead and go with an Eric scroll. So technically, this is not remotely similar at first glance, but we're just kind of... Sorry, random phone call. So it's not necessarily fully exactly related by any means, but basically the idea of being a highly expensive move that leaves a target vulnerable, the Eric scroll will basically do the same thing, give or take. Let's see. I think we'll give her Silence Ward here, because she always seems to have something terrible to say. And we'll go ahead and give her... Do we even want to give her Dagger skills? Because I feel like most of the Dagger finishers would just kind of get in the way of her build here. Probably put a parry to reflect her decently high evasion odds. And... yeah, Bash would just screw her up here. What else can we potentially learn on her? Field Alchemy, I guess? Oh yeah, Dual Wield. I guess she might need that, huh? Whoops. That's a little bit important. Anyway, I'll go ahead and pop that dealie over here. Where were you? Where's Dual Wield? Why are you so far in this list? It's somewhere in here. I swear. This is when it's going to turn out I forgot to actually unlock it just a second ago, and I'm scrolling through nothing. Did I seriously forget to... No, seriously, did I just not unlock it or something? No, I did unlock it. Hold on. So it would be a sport ability. Yeah, no, that was just right away. Okay, so that took a little bit longer than I thought. There's a decent bit more to go, so I'm just going to finish that up at some point. But yeah, that's basically what we're looking at here. That's more or less what this ends up looking like. So I think this is going to be a fun one. Basically, this was sort of initial practice at first for a project that I'm actually going to be doing relatively soonish, which is a sort of a playthrough of One Vision using specifically this team. So... So I mentioned a while ago that we'd be doing themed Iron Man runs of One Vision, because it's a game that I used to do a ton of playthroughs on in the past. And you can do Iron Man runs to your heart's content, but eventually you start optimizing, and optimization is boring. So, effectively what the plan is that we just take a themed team and just sort of assemble the team strictly adhering to what the original characters would have been like, and just kind of try to, again, just sort of play as that team in this universe. And just kind of go at it at an Iron Man rule set. Sometimes people make it, sometimes they don't. And I figured Triangle was probably a pretty decent place to start, considering the very limited kind of sets that the characters can potentially run. We can't necessarily put in too many tricky or quirky things. I guess technically I should probably mention one of the reasons that this was even chosen in the first place was specifically because we would be able to make a weather lady over here, considering that we've got like Storm Call and Clear Skies over here over on the weather service wizard. But unfortunately, again, this took a decent bit longer than expected, and I'm a little bit out of time here. So we'll see these as a team at some point, and yeah, so if, going back to the original thing here, if you happen to be one of them folks that happens to have a $500 headset attached to your face, you know, Triangle is out there and ready to be served up into your eyeballs. Otherwise, you know, it exists, and it's kind of neat that it does, and for the life of me, I can't really figure out why that's the direction they went, but it's cool, you know? I'm glad it exists. I hope everything goes well and wish them all the best. Anyway, that's about that. I'll see you in the next one, and take care.